What if the real problem with modern dating isn't a lack of love, but a loss of order? Welcome to Black Love Dialogue and Wine, a private podcast experience for those serious about love, marriage, and legacy. This isn't surface level romance. These are intentional conversations reclaiming the strongest love ever known, Black love. In today's dating culture, we've normalized trauma bonding and calling it commitment. We've romanticized love while forgetting marriage was built for legacy before feelings. At Black Love Dialogue, we restore balance, honoring love and structure, emotion and purpose. If you're seeking love, strengthening it, or preparing for marriage, this private experience gives you the mindset and resources to build lasting pair bonds. This private Zoom takes place 8 p.m. Eastern, last Sundays of the month. So get your tickets on eventbrite.com and bring your flask so we can toast and deep dive into legacy before love, featuring therapists Makaya Dominguez, Marilyn Odwini, mental health advocate Chris James, and award-winning relationship coaches Fala Antoine, Derek Cecile Clark, and Vaughn the Love Alchemist with over 35 years of marriage. What's up, y'all? It's your mental activist Montoya Smith, excited about Sunday night's Black Love Dialogue and Wine. Wanted to introduce y'all to one of our co-hosts, Chris James. May not be able to come on today, but just because we're so close, we're only less than a week out. I wanted to go make sure people understand exactly what we're doing with the Black Love Dialogue, a private podcast experience. We want to create a community around this concept of Black love and strengthen it. We know it's been attacked throughout the years here in our African-American experience. And so we've created a private podcast to get off the public air, and we're not competing with, back and forth, gender wars, any of that stuff. We just really wanted to create something that was actually going to help people. And I wanted to highlight y'all to the amazing hosts that I have, because all of my hosts are married, they're relationship coaches, mental therapists, and Chris James, who I was hoping to highlight. We've done one video, we're just trying to do more. He's a mental health advocate. And so I have a clip from him, so I'm going to share with you guys just so you can get a perspective of how the deep dive, we want to go beyond the surface level conversations that people are having when it comes to marriage, legacy, and love. So if you're serious about love, marriage, and legacy, this private podcast is for you. I saw this post that by somebody named Matthew Moderator that says men need to sit with men who have healed perspectives on women. Women need to surround themselves with women who have healed perspectives on men. The conversations are different. The energy is different. The love, appreciation, and respect are different. Absolutely. We're going to create a private podcast, a community where you can be a part of, where people already have respect for one another, respect for the other gender. And that's going to be a different type of conversation than trying to one up each other. But as I said, I wanted to introduce this brother, Chris James. He has a book called A Man on Purpose. And in this clip, he talks about why some men never marry their longtime girlfriend, being boyfriend and girlfriend for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. So I'm going to play this clip again, because I just want y'all to know the amazing people that we're going to have as a part of this Black Love Dialogue private podcast experience that makes it worth your time to be a part of. So let me play this clip and I'll give y'all my thoughts. Maybe Chris gets a chance to jump on here soon, but if not, again, just wanted to let y'all know what we're doing Sunday night, 8 p.m., January 25th. Go to Eventbrite to get your tickets for this private podcast experience. But again, let me play this clip just again to introduce Chris James to you once again.
Hey, I already know it's going to be some people who don't like this one. But the question was, why don't men who date women for a long period of time marry those women? And it goes back to my same thought about confidence. Men who lack confidence also lack understanding of what their true value is. And when a man lacks understanding of his true value and lacks confidence, right, he is unable to move in a space of clarity and understanding the value that woman can have to his life, right? When a man is unsure about what his value is, he doesn't have solid ground to communicate to that woman how she can multiply the things in his life. That's what a wife is for. A wife is in your life to be a servant of your mission, to be your helpmate, right? To be a multiplier of everything that is good in your life, right? But when a man isn't sure about the value and the good things in his life and what he offers to the world and what he's doing in this world and how he's contributing to creating a better world in his world and the world of the people that he loves, right? He moves in a space of procrastination, right? So it makes sense, for that man to be with a woman that he loves, right? That he actually loves for 3, 5, 10 years and never marry her, right? Because he is fearful of something, right? He is lacking some level of confidence, right? And that's my answer. That's what I know it is for men. That's what I know men are struggling with every single day. But what we hear on the surface is, I'm just waiting to get my money right. I'm just waiting for this to happen, right? Nah, you're waiting to be more confident in who you are, why you are, and where you're going on your journey.
Hey, that's Brother Chris James breaking it down why men don't marry their longtime girlfriends. Real conversations like that. So grab your glass of wine and join us Sunday night for the Black Love Dialogue and Wine podcast. So make sure you join us as we have discussions just like that. Also, for season 1, I also want to introduce y'all to season 1. We'll be using the inner work of relationships. For those that know you want to be a part of the community, go ahead and get the book. We're just going to be using excerpts out of it, for example, to deep dive. So the format of the actual podcast is responding to various clips when it comes to relationships and things that we should be understanding. Also using the inner work of relationships, the inner work, understanding your role and how to have a relationship. For example, like this book, for example, we'll have a discussion about this question here. It says, think about your upbringing and family dynamics. Were there specific instances or patterns related to a violation that you experienced as a child? How might these experiences influence your behavior in your current relationship? So we call it a private podcast. It's literally a private Zoom where you can participate. So you're not just watching like you're watching me today. You will be a part of the Zoom. You can answer those questions. We're actually not even recording the podcast. We are that sincere about elevating Black love, marriages, and legacies in our community. Everybody I'm bringing on, like a Chris James, they are sincerely already advocates in their community for Black love. We're just bringing people like himself and their actual therapists and talking about award-winning relationship coaches. We're bringing it all together to create a community, because if you think about it, in the past, we had communities where the community around you supported you in your marriage. So now that we don't have that village, we can recreate it. Something I always say for those who know about me, my community of mental dialogue community, I always say we can be neighbors without living next to each other. So here's an opportunity to do that for the most foundational, important relationship or decision you will ever make: who you will marry and who you will have children with. So if you are thinking about marriage, in a relationship, about to get married, newly married, this podcast is absolutely for you. I'm going to give y'all one more example, just a real quick clip of showing y'all how we're going to go off the beaten path. It's not going to be just relationship, and what the men should do and what the women should do. We're going to go off the beaten path and do deep dives, and that's what the point of going private is for. Here's a clip that I saw that I would love to get our experts. Again, missing Chris today, no big problem, but we'll play this clip again in the private podcast and see what you have to say, what our experts have to say. Context and perspective is what you need, and the information you need to have a village to make sure you're bouncing what you're feeling up against others versus just taking it out on your significant other. Relationships can be difficult, but it's what's on the other side of it that makes it all worth it. And right now, our expectations are incomplete or wrong. And so here's an example of something a man went through. It's not directly related to relationship, but imagine you finding this man who carried this and was able to heal from his relationship with his father, and how beneficial it would be inside of a relationship. So let me play this clip. I wish I knew who this man was, but again, just showing y'all we're going to go off the beaten path with this as well.
Hey, I already know it's going to be some people who don't like this one.
I want to hit my dad up. Now, here's a man who I done vilified on a grand scale. I put all this shit in the street and used him, juiced my dad as like, this is the reason I'm fucking foul out here. You know, I'm come from this wayward upbringing, and, you know, my dad is the reason I'm such a fuck up. You know, he's a biker and a wild man and a criminal and a da-da-da and abusive. And I wrote this narrative, which was just fucking nonsense. My dad was so loving to me my whole life. Fractured, sure. Crooked, sure. Like, wonky for sure. But never was not loving. Never was not there. He was always there. He was always there. And I done a world press tour about how fucked he was as a man. I wronged him. So when I got on the phone with him, I took accountability for all that and knew very clearly that I couldn't take it back. And that my dad was going to live with this certain narrative about him on a public scale for a very long time, you know, probably the rest of his life. And I done put all this shit in the street. I told him, you know, what I was doing, and it went just like, you know, hey man, I'm in this program. I'm learning to be a decent man one day at a time. I know I done fucked you over here. You know, I done put your shit in the street, and I know I made it harder for you to move around in the world. And I defined you as like this villainous character when really you were like an amazing dude for me in my life. And like, you know, I really look up to you and the way that you've moved through your failings and the father that you've been to me. You've been a great man to me. If there's ever anything I can do, be it blood, counsel, money, whatever, if there's ever anything I can do to make your life better in any way, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Great clip from Alpha Motivation highlighting that man's growth in his relationship with his father. Can you imagine anybody who dated him prior to him having that growth, when he thinks about the childhood wounds that he probably did suffer to a degree from his father, but when he looked at the big picture, his dad was really there for him. And so, again, we want to go off the beaten path to deal with our inner working so that we can be better in our relationships with one another. Your relationship is a mirror. And so sometimes your person is going to come in with those issues. How do you deal with that person that comes in with that issue? So sometimes in current times on the internet, people talk about get your therapy, get healed. And so I think there's a false concept that two people can be healed and come into a relationship. And so as we create this community of healed people, or of people that are healing, we want people to understand how to do it, for example, within relationship. Again, the inner working of relationships book will be our guideline. For example, it talks about how to deal with the overcompensating partner, right? Or how to deal, you know, and the triggers for that person, or actually the undercompensating partner, and what it takes and how you can actually help your partner if you feel like they have these different issues, or you know yourself you have these issues. There are things your partner, this book, we will dialogue and deep dive to find out how to deal with your partner if they're that type of partner. That's what the inner working of relationship does, dealing with all of that. So again, I'm excited about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, January 25th, the Black Love Dialogue, Legacy Before Love. That's what we're doing, y'all. Bring your wine, let your people know. Matter of fact, let me put the website to get your tickets. Hey, if you're already supporting, or you know our different hosts, any of our different hosts that are going to be on the actual podcast with us, go to blacklovedialogue.eventbrite.com, find their name, and go up under them so they can get credit for you coming to our exclusive, private podcast experience, the Black Love Dialogue and Wine. Hope to see y'all on Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm out this week. We're going to keep introducing y'all to our amazing host.